So people, I put up a little post for Coach Niel to ask questions, and a couple questions came in for him. First one is, Olympic lifting, are you going to compete anytime? And or what are your feelings on Olympic lifting presently?
So I've done 2 competitions in the past. It's been a few years since then. It was good experience. Personally, I get why people compete. It's fun. Gives you a defined goal of when you have to accomplish it and what you need to do. It's good in preparation. It teaches you a lot. Personally, don't like competitions in general, just because it can be very rigorous preparation. And sometimes, if you've ever been to a local competition, it's how they are ran can vary venue to venue, so it can be rough. I remember the first competition I did, it was kind of like very local. I had to go into Long Island. It was a good hour drive. And it's kind of a little bit all over the place, but it went okay. Second competition, I forget, for some reason they started late. They had trouble finding referees. And referees, if they just grab any of the local athletes they know.
Right.
And so in that sense, like, they do a pretty okay job of judging your lifts. But I remember on my last lift, one of the girls said down or something, like, before I even finished it. And I just gave her like a mean eye when I was like mid-lift. It was fine, but like it's stuff like that. It's travel expense.
Wait, I'm sorry. You gave her the mean eye?
Yeah, I just like scowled at her.
What did she do again?
So I was supposed to do the jerk, and I think I did the jerk, but before I even like recovered from the split, she told me to put it down.
What?
I scowled at her because if I listened to her, I would have like failed the lift.
Yeah. That's weird. I would have. I didn't hear that.
It's really annoying.
Yeah, I bet. Like mid-lift, you're gonna talk.
Yeah, because someone else, if they were trying to go for like a personal best, and they listened to them, they would have put it down automatically. Count as a no lift. Thankfully I knew better, so I got the lift. But it's stuff like that. It's a lot of traveling if it's nothing local. Fees are quite a bit. If it's like powerlifting, it's a very long day. I remember you mentioned this in the last podcast. I went from like a few hours to an entire day thing. And that's a big commitment time-wise. I mean, sure, it's maybe like once if you're just doing it for experience, but does it need to be that long? My sister, she did the Ironman competitions. And you usually get 17, 18 hours for the entire thing. And the hosting venue or whoever's organizing it, they have to get permits from the town. And they have to have all competitors off the course by a certain time.
Oh, wow.
But they also have like throughout the day, certain times you have to finish a certain event by. And so maybe like you're doing the cycling portion. You're supposed to cycle like 110 miles. I guess your progress as an athlete in that day, you have to finish that within like something like 10 hours. I might be like a little bit off on that, but like you have to finish by 10 and a half hours. And say you're like 80 or 90 miles in and you're like a little too close to a cutoff, they'll tell you to stop. You have to come off the course and like wrap up for the day. You can't move on to the marathon portion. And usually you have to travel like 7-8 hours driving for a competition like this. Maybe a little less if it's depending on where you are, or you might have to fly out. So you're talking about the flight, registration for the competition, which is a few $100s. It's almost like $1,000, a little bit under that. And whatever preparation you need for like your cycling, your bike, whatever maintenance and equipment you need for that. Any supplements you use, all that is like just down the drain. So yeah, competition can be, it's rough in general. That's why I understand why people like it, but there's so many things outside your control that will affect you. I don't look forward to competition all the time. And one thing is like some people only use competition as their training goal. That's, if you like competitions, that's great. To me, it's not sustainable over a long period of time. Say if you're trying to like lift or exercise or whatever your hobby is, if you're trying to do it more than just like 1 year, 2 years, say like 10, 15, 20, 30 years, you have to look beyond just competitions to find some type of value from what you're doing. Like I lift. I've been lifting since 2006. How many years is that? 15 years?
Yeah, something like that. It's got to be 15.
Yeah, that's when I started like lifting regularly. But I still don't get bored. I have my slumps here and there where I kind of, I'm like, it's not in the mood today.
Right.
But I'm very consistent with it. It's very rare to me to skip a workout just because I adjust based on what my needs are or how I feel, or say something comes up one day, I'm like, it's no big deal, I can push it to the next day. Right. It just makes it more sustainable over the long term, and it makes me more consistent. I don't remember what the question was, but that was my answer.
That's all right. I agree, because it moved in directions that kind of make sense and good for the listeners. Like the macro cycle, right? What's your macro cycle? And a lot of people's macro cycle becomes competition. And when we say macro cycle, that means like, how's your programming towards your workouts? Like, is it geared towards just this, like people getting ready for a race? And then what happens? And that's what happens. You see these people just fall. It's like a diet. After that diet's over, they gain most of their weight back. Niel's approach is really good. And a lot of people don't see that because you have the flexibility, and that's really the best part. But your consistency is key, and you haven't really stopped, because you don't put this external pressure of like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Just like competition, your program is regimented. Your diet should be regimented if you want to perform at the best of your ability. Now, if you're just doing it for fun, yeah, you could do whatever you want. You're not going to get the outcome that I think you want, but knowing what your macro cycle is probably the best thing. Personally, I've been doing that, but a little piece of me still goes back to micro, meaning like, oh, you got to work out today. You're going to lose all this. It's like, no, I could take off. It's still going to be 3 times a week, even if I miss today. It's not really that detrimental to what I really want. And that's just to feel better. And like, all right, I'm just moving.
No, I definitely get it. Like, I still have that feeling sometimes if I like miss a workout, or I cut it a little bit short, or I'll do a little bit less weight or reps or something, where it's not exactly the plan.
Right.
Because you can get into that habit where you do that every workout, and it just kind of slides into, just one day becomes a week, becomes a month. And then you just gotta have that. You still need that discipline. So I think competition in that sense is really good. It shows you what you need to do for success, or to work towards a goal you have defined in your mind. Like for anyone who follows Wayne on Instagram, Wayne, I think his handle is Wayne Gaines. I'm not sure. But if you see his competition prep right now, it is very detailed, regimented, and he needs a lot of discipline for it. But he's showing like great progress.
Right. It's if you haven't, Wayne dual athlete, or is it dual athlete still? I think it's Wayne Gaines now again. He keeps changing his name. He keeps changing it.
Yeah.
It's either one. It might be the dual athlete or Wayne Gaines with a Z. And just watching him prep, and like he's doing competition, like bodybuilding. We're talking about natural bodybuilding, and he's going from competition to competition to competition. One is hard.
Yes.
One is hard. He's doing, I think, 3 in this prep. It's crazy.
Yeah, so. It's like just seeing what he posts his meals every day, and like it's very strict. It's not even like, oh, I'm gonna get this much protein. It's like broken down by meal. It's very specific foods he's eating, and that's like for success in a competition. That's what you gotta do.
Right. Yeah. Got it. You gotta live that life, and that's the feelings on competition. That was the question. Was what are your feelings on competitions? And I think you kind of.
My feelings, if you like it, do it. That's also what I subscribe to.